Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Rustic South. It's Sherry. Hey, today we're doing a board. I'm calling it a cutting board just because I put a hole in the handle of it, of the rabbit that you see on screen. And we're going to use cardboard. Now, if you guys have a cutting board laying around that you can use, by all means, grab it and do this to it if this is something you want to do. We're going to do it in a rustic style, of course. And I'm painting this cutting board gray steel by Waverly, and then we're going to wax it, paint white over it, and then we're going to chip it. So if you have a cutting board laying around that maybe you found at a thrift store, or one that you're not using, or one that you want to do something with, maybe this is a repurpose idea for you. So I'm painting this with steel gray. You pick your colors. If you want to do white and you want to do chippy it but have white on the bottom as well, you can do that, or any color you like, whatever your colors are. So I'm going to tell you now that I went ahead and doubled up this cardboard for this, just because I'm making it. I put a hole in it for one thing if you want to hang it. Another thing, if you want it to look like a real cutting board, you could put a piece of leather through it, or some thick cording, or some rope, or nothing. I opted to put nothing in mine. But in case you wanted to just lean it against something, I doubled up on the cardboard on mine. So, but it doesn't mean you have to. That was just something I felt I wanted to do. So anyway. So here I'm painting the sides a little bit to disguise the cardboard on the edge. Also, too, if you don't want to put the handle on it, if you do want to do it on cardboard, but you don't want to put the handle on it, leave the handle off of it. Just make it a rectangle, right? You don't have to put a handle on it. I thought several times about just cutting the handle off of it. And I intentionally, if you look at it, you can tell that one side of the cutting board itself is higher than the other on the different sides of the handles, but I did that on purpose. I like the inconsistency of it. So here's I'm going to give you the measurements of it, which I think I did a second ago. But the handle is 5.5 inches long by 1.5 inches wide. And I wanted this to be a large cutting board. So that if you wanted to hang it on a wall, you could. If you want to lean it with other cutting boards that you already have maybe on display. And then the cutting board itself, from the top to the bottom, is 16 inches, and from side to side it's 6 inches. And again, if you want to make it shorter, cut it to your specifications. But I do find a silhouette of a rabbit. Here we're going to take the wax, my candle, and I'm going to rub this candle all over the top of the cutting board, of the surface, let's say, of the surface, including the handle, to help with the chippy effect. But I was going to say, if you want to make it smaller, make it smaller. Take the handle off if you don't want a handle. Maybe around the edges. Maybe even put, I've taken wood and put wood, like those giant stir sticks that you can get from like Home Depot or Walmart. You can take those and cut those down to size and glue those to the sides. Okay, so now I'm painting white on it after we've waxed it, and we're going to chippy it here in a minute. So maybe some of those suggestions I gave you are something that you want to consider as well, if you don't want to make it a cutting board style. I don't know, I don't frequent the thrift stores too much because I don't feel like they're, at least in my area, I don't feel like they're a good purchase anymore. I feel like they have gotten out of control with their prices. I mean, I feel like they're almost competing with Walmart. It's crazy how much they want to charge you for stuff that people drop off for free, right? Even I take stuff over there and drop it off. You know, and I have a lot of friends that won't do it simply because they know they're going to resell it. And not just for the resale, for not reselling it, but for the price they want to charge anymore at some of these is just crazy. So anyway, I've stopped going to the thrift stores looking for stuff. And this way, if I want to get rid of this in a year, I can't. I can just throw it away. What does it matter? It's made out of cardboard anyway. Or I can recycle it and do something else with it, right? And so I feel like I'm doing at least two things better than throwing it away, you know, recycling the first time and a second time if I felt it necessary. All right, so now I'm chipping it. It does pretty well, but you know, I use the hair dryer, and I use chalk paint, white chalk paint on there. Here I'm going to show you what I did with the silhouette for the rabbit. So what I did was I found silhouettes online that I liked. I clicked on it and saved image as to my computer, and then I reopened it and then made it full screen on the image that I wanted. And that's what I did to get the image that I wanted. I wanted a sideways rabbit because of the size from left to right of my board. So to be honest, my screen, of course, on my laptop is not the same size as the rabbit. If you tell, you can see I enlarged it some when I was tracing it. So what I did was I traced it somewhat bigger than what's on the screen because I wanted it bigger to fill the space better. And then I elongated the body. As you can tell, mine goes off the screen on the bottom where its feet are. And so I elongated the body of it. You can see on the screen the rabbit size is 12.5 from the tallest point of the ears to the bottom and 5.5 inches at its widest width to the tip of the nose. Okay, this is how I'm showing you from the tallest ear to the bottom. It's 12.5. I think I said that right, 12.5. Yeah, 12.5 from the tallest spot to, and what I did was actually from the edge of the paper on the left to the right where his its front feet would be is 5.5 inches, or the tip of the nose. They're almost in the same spot. See, from there to there is the 5.5 inches. Okay, so that's the best way that I've found to make an image that I wanted. And then I went to Hobby Lobby and I got some of their decorative paper, and I I have a light board, or you could use your computer screen, but don't trace very lightly, right? Don't push if you're going to put it on your computer screen. And I traced it onto the decorative paper from Hobby Lobby. And then I did have to piece the very bottom of it together because, of course, it's longer. It's 12.5 inches. and paper comes 8.5 by 11, so I did have to add a little bit on the bottom. But I taped it together on the back side. And this is not scrapbooking paper. This, well, I mean, I guess it is, but it's not the heavyweight one, right? This is the regular weight paper. And I think I said in there, I'm on screen, and when I showed you a second ago, when I first showed you this picture, it is, I think, green floral vintage, or something like that is what it's called. Again, not all Hobby Lobbies I don't think are going to carry the same patterns, but that's what this is. I do like greens, although I prefer a little darker green, but this pattern I thought was cute, and I thought it would lend to a vintage style. And I did get a new distressed oxide stamp pad, which you see there. It is, it's called Tea Dye. It's kind of pink, which I thought it was actually going to be a lighter brown, but it comes out kind of pinkish. But I like it. I don't like it as much as I like the vintage photo one, but I like it. I've used it several times since I got it already. Okay, so there I'm showing you just it on there without distressing it so far. So you can see the size and kind of where you want to place it. So here we're going to make it darker. Again, this LED light that I have over my table doesn't do the coloring I put on this from the stamp pads any justice, because it's so bright. It's really hard to see the distressing that's actually happening, but the amount of distressing. But it turns out really cute. I like it. Or, you know, you guys can, I also looked for images on, what is it, Graphics Fairy. I had gotten one off there. I thought it was off of there, I don't know, several years ago, and I went on there to try to find it again because I wanted to use it because I really like it. I could not find it again to save my life. So this is what I came up with, was this version. I wanted a side view instead of a front view. For one thing, because I was going to trace it, and I didn't, you know, I didn't want anything that had a bunch of you know, stuff on it. So, okay, so here now we're going to go to the board, and I've taken the board now that we've chippied it. So now I'm going to take the Minwax, and I'm darkening it in spots with this dark, I think it's called Special Dark Finishing Wax. And then, of course, we get out all my other ones and add it on. And you see me, you know, skipping places because the rabbit's going to be like right in the middle anyway. So I was not putting wax in the middle primarily. So now I'm going to make the tag. Now I love tags, and I love to make tags. So this tag is about 4 1/4 by 2 1/4. And out of cardboard, and I'm going to paint it with the Waverly Moss chalk paint. I guess because the rabbit's green, I felt like the green should go together. And just take a look at the top of the screen there. You see those little hearts sitting on that board. Those were recently at Dollar Tree. I picked up a package of those, and we're going to be using those in this video. Excuse me. I take those hearts I take those hearts and I fill it in with some spackle, and I let it dry, and then I, rough up the top a little bit, and then I take the tops where the spackle is and I rub it on my distressed oxide stamps, because we're going to use those as leaves for a flower that we're going to put as some decoration on the rabbit shortly. So if you have a package of those little I still have sinus drainage. It's crazy. So here now that we've painted up the tag, I'm going to take the sides of my scissors and rough up this tag really, really well, because I want it to be very can't think of the word. I'm thinking messy, but that's not what I want. Messy. It's just, like it's been, I don't know, around for ages, I guess. I like the way the cardboard took with the scissors. The scissors really like chopped up the edges, right? I mean, it was really nice. It was, flaking off the paint on the edges, and it was really tearing up the cardboard on the edges, and I really like that look. So I'm just, manipulating it with the scissors until I get it to the point I want it, right? So scrape it, do what you want with it as long as you want. I'm being real rough with it because I really like the roughness on the edges. It looked really nice. And of course, we're going to antique it up with some stamping action. Back to those little hearts on the top of the screen. So yeah, so I got those again at Dollar Tree. They probably still have them because I saw some recently, because I just got them a couple weeks ago. So hopefully you can still find them. If not, you can find something else, I'm sure, to use for petals on the flower that we're going to make. Let's grunge it up here a little bit. Oh, I love the grungy look of this tag. It looks so nice. When that bright light isn't on, it is so grungy. It looks so nice. So if you guys like tags, the cardboard really, really blended itself well this time on while I was making this. I have a whole new respect for some cardboard tags now, because I hadn't to now, I don't think, used scissors on it, or maybe not to the point I was on this one, but it is so nice and grungy looking on the sides. It looks great. And I did do something else. Originally I was putting something else on it, and here I'm going to turn off this light and hold it up closer. Out of focus. You still can't see it very well. So here's where I'm showing you how I put the hole in my handle of my board. So I put a piece of wood underneath the handle, I took some very sharp scissors that I have and just poked it through and then proceeded to twist it so that the handle. Okay, so these things I want to tell you, these are some little like emery board sticks. My husband found them on Amazon a few years ago, and I rarely use them, but they were perfect for this hole in the handle. So yeah, they're like a sandpaper stick or an emery board stick, if you will. They're very small, and they came in a package of, I don't know, 30, 40. So they were really good for using to make that hole in the handle very crisp. Get rid of all that torn up cardboard that, because it's, again, mine's 2 layers. So you got rid of all that. See? Nice. Nice round. No craziness in that. See how dirty my hands are from all that stamping? Anyway, love to craft. So here's the sign that I made. I didn't show you the stamping, as you guys know how to do stamping, right? I don't need to show you, I don't think, video of me stamping on fabric. I've done it on this channel numerous times, and that's a tea dye. So I stamped Spring and Bloom on it with my clickable stamps. I told you I got those at Michael's. And I stamped it on a piece of, that's a ripped tea towel is what that is, that I had cut down smaller than my tag. And now we're just grunging it. So also on screen you're going to see laying there are some flowers and those hearts I told you that I grunged up. Those flowers are some paper flowers that I found at Dollar Tree as well. See, there's one on, okay, so I bought these little brads at Hobby Lobby the other day. They have like 3 different sizes there. It's the mini, the smallest size I think they carry. I'm going to use them on this sign. And there's 3 different colors in the group. But anyway, back to the paper flowers. I found these paper flowers. They're black, gray, and like a light gray at Hobby Lobby probably a month ago. I'll be careful because I poked myself with the backside of that when it came through and it flippin' hurt. Yes, it did, but it did not cause blood, so we're good. You also see on the top of my screen there, you see those little flowers laying on the paper. Those are the flowers I was contemplating using, and they're also made with those little hearts I told you earlier to fill in the holes and grunge them with your stamp pads if you want them grunged, or paint them white. So I take one of these paper flowers, I glue it to my tag, I put the little brads. I had another one in there. I add 2 of those little brads in the little sign. I also lighten up that black a little bit with some of that tea dye stamp, which you didn't really need to do. It actually looked better just black because it brought out the black in the sign. So I'm going to put another one of these brads in the sign. I'm trying to decide if I want to put 2 in it. Okay, so now we have 2 breads in the sign and a flower. I think I'm going to show you close up the sign here. Maybe not. So that's those paper flowers again that you see on top of the screen that I bought at Dollar Tree. But you can use any flower that you have in the house. Probably all of you have some sort of flower arrangement or flowers that you've purchased at Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby over the past. I'm going to use glue stick to glue the rabbit down because I don't want there to be any hot glue line, you know, showing through on the rabbit. So I'm using a glue stick to glue it down. You could also use Mod Podge, but I didn't want to use Mod Podge this day. I decided glue stick was the best option. So and right as I finished, my glue stick ran out. So I definitely need to get some more. So what I did was I lined up the rabbit tail. If you see there's no tail on the rabbit, I cut it off. Well, it wasn't in the original silhouette anyway, I don't think. So I lined it up with the edge and then the very edge of the top ear with the edge of the board as well. So that's how you know where to place it. And then press it down really well. You don't have to worry about leaving it to dry, and you don't have Mod Podge everywhere, and you don't have, you know, you don't end up Mod Podging the top of it, which I didn't want to do. So that was another reason why I use glue stick. I just didn't want to mess with the Mod Podge. It's a hot mess sometimes. Here I'm rolling it. I'm rolling over it with my brayer just to make sure we're down good in all spots. Okay, so here I've decided it took me, you have no idea how long I've been working on this rabbit thing. It's been a few days because I've just been trying to decide how I was going to do a sign, how I was going to do flowers. And now I'm going to add lace to it. I've decided that the rabbit needs something that it's too plain. So I get out a piece of lace. I have a huge piece of lace that it's tea dyed in my stash, and I get out some of it and I cut it to go across the neck of the rabbit. It's kind of like, I don't know, almost like a jewelry around the neck, or you know, just some kind of embellishment around the neck portion of the rabbit. So now I've decided I'm going to grunge it, but then I grunged it a little too dark. And I mean, it looked okay, but I wanted to add a flower to it. See, that's where I wanted it, which it would have been cute like that, but I wanted to make, been making these flowers, and I want this flower to go somewhere on this, either the rabbit or up above the rabbit. So I decided I wanted the flower just like that. I wanted the flower to go on the neck with lace. So I had to lighten the color of the lace. So I had to go back in and grunge it up with some of that. Thankfully, I bought that tea dye Distressed Oxide color because it helped to tone down the darkness of the lace so that the flower would stand out a little more. Right, so I'm gluing that piece of lace down. And if you don't want to put a flower on it, you can leave lace on it. If you want to use homespun, you can do anything. You could put moss around the neck. You could do anything around the neck. So here are these little hearts I was talking about earlier that I took. I filled the holes in. I got them from Dollar Tree a couple of weeks ago. I filled the holes in with spackle, and then I took them after they dried. I rubbed the tops of them, of the hearts, with the spackle on my ink pads to like grunge them up. And that's what I'm gluing on there now. Now if you're on a computer screen or on your phone watching this, you can zoom in to see the coloring of those. And then I take some fabric and I just make circles, and I cut the circle to fit the on top of those flowers, just big enough to fit, but you know that you can still see the petals. And then I take another little piece of canvas, not canvas, like it almost feels like, what is this, woven, a stiff woven, I don't know what it's called, like a jute? I don't know, I can't tell, I'm not sure what it's called. And I cut a smaller circle out of it to make the center of the flower. And then I glue down the tag to the top. And this is where I end mine, right? I don't like doing too much frou-frouing and stuff on mine, but I do show you here what moss would look like on the bottom. I contemplated putting moss on the bottom. There's the sign. It looks like there's jute around that, but it's not. It's the grunging that I did with the scissors. And there's a close-up of the flower and the lace. And then there's the rabbit on the sign. I contemplated so many different things with this craft. And there's the hole. You can either put leather through it, or jute, or a thicker nautical rope. Okay, so here is what I'm going to show you. I put some moss on the bottom of it to show you if this was something that you wanted to further do, what it would look like without gluing it down, right? Because sometimes you have to just like step back and look at something before you go, you know, doing full bore kinds of stuff to things. So at least I do, right? So after seeing this on the screen, I actually like the moss on the bottom. I think the moss adds a nice texture element to the bottom. Kind of finishes the bottom of the board. But I opted not to leave it on. But I have also been contemplating putting it on there since I made the video. And then what would be really cute too is if you had Easter eggs. You could take a few Easter eggs that have been grunged, maybe cut them in half so that they'll lay flatter. It's up to you. Smaller eggs, right? And put them in the moss. That would be cute. But I don't know, I don't think the Easter eggs are me. So anyway, those are some suggestions I'm giving you. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed today's craft. I hope you will consider subscribing and sharing with your friends. Here are some finishing pictures of the project today. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.